Thanks for being with us today. We really appreciate it. My name is Neil Tillo. I'm the CEO of Talbert House. And thank you, Stephanie, Brad, and Josh for hosting. I wasn't able to be early. I had a little surgery, and I'm just, so if you see me hobbling, it's just that. I'm good for the long run, everybody. But I really wanted to be here today. Don't tell my doctor I'm here, though, okay? I really did to recognize some of our board members earlier at our meeting, but really to recognize these three incredible honorees in the community, and just unbelievable who we have to recognize today. But I know earlier Stephanie mentioned what an effective and efficient board we have and what outstanding leadership we have. And so we have some of our former chairs here. We have Paul Brunner, Tom Kilcoyne, Leslie McNeil, Bob Meacham, and Steve Hunt. And Steve actually introduced me to Bob Alexander, one of our awardees, over 30 years ago. So please give them a round of applause, those past chairs who still serve us. In fact, all five of those former chairs serve on one of our boards still today. Pretty incredible. But when you think about the tenure of Talbert House, it's just not me who's been here a long time, it's many of our board members. In fact, we have over 630 years of board tenure on our board. I'm going to say again, 630 years. Now, we got a big board, but still people have to stay a long time. And earlier at our board meeting, we had Tom Kilcoyne, Julie Schiffman, and Gwen Wilder, who got a 30-year recognition. That's our best class ever, I'm going to say. Glenda Cousins got 20 years. Jamie Leonard and Anne-Marie Tracy got 15 years. Kathy Crane got 10, and Nav Kang got 5. Please join me in thanking them, too. But now for the main event for the luncheon, of course, and that's really to recognize a few people. And we want to start with the Ernest Talbert Award. And Bob, maybe you'll come up and join us here. Ernest Talbert was a professor emeritus at UC in sociology and an early advocate for community alternatives of all kinds. And we present this award each year in recognition of a benefactor and advocate for Talbert House by promoting health and human services and in the community. And past recipients including Manny and Rhoda Mayerson, Hope Taft, Kathy Merchant, Greater Cincinnati Foundation, Ray Brokamp, Steve Leeper, and 3CDC. And so today to help me with this is Bobby Maley, who's the CEO of the Mono Group. Bobby?
Good afternoon. Retired Senior Vice President of PNC Bank, Robert Alexander, has a 49-year career in the thrift and commercial banking industries. A Vietnam combat vet, Bob has supported the veteran community in many ways, including the establishment of the Veterans in Crisis Program at the Talbert House, as well as the agency's Veterans Suicide Hotline and the Veterans Outreach Advisory Council. As a board member, he guided Talbert House through an affiliation agreement with several mental health organizations. Bob serves on the Ohio Housing Finance Agency Board, including chairman of the annual plan and vice chair of the administrative and multifamily committees, some of the most important committees at OFA. I am so pleased to be able to present this because I have personally been a part of so many impactful projects benefiting Cincinnati's veterans and most vulnerable that don't exist without Bob's determined advocacy. At least one or two of those, I know are Talbert House projects. Bob, my partners and colleagues wanted me to thank you on their behalf just because we personally have seen the impact, the lasting impact you have made on our community and our less fortunate neighbors. Thank you. It just so happens also, by the way, today is his 75th birthday. There is so much to celebrate with Bob, and that just puts the icing on the cake. Please join me in presenting the Dr. Ernest Talbert Award to Bob Alexander.
Good afternoon. Many familiar faces, so thank you for being here. First and foremost, I would want to thank the board and management of Talbert House for the honor of receiving this prestigious award. To say that I am proud of my work at Talbert House is an understatement, but when I try to think of a word to use, pride is what comes to my mind. As most of us know, the mission of Talbert House is building a stronger community one life at a time. The leadership, partners, and donors of Talbert House understand and live that accordingly in the development of collaborative group and social service programs that have far-reaching impact in our community. As a former board member and Vietnam veteran, I've had a personal interest in the mental health component of the Talbert House programs and would like to share a brief story with you on the development of one specific program titled Veterans in Crisis Program, which has been previously mentioned. On a personal level, a few years ago, I approached the leadership of Talbert House, asking if it could aid in developing a private program that would be an alternative to, but work in tandem with, an existing program at the Department of Veteran Affairs to try to help reduce the veteran suicide rate in our community. Talbert House is already engaged in permanent supportive housing facilities for veterans, so this would be an adjunct to operations already in place. Through Talbert House's cooperation and assistance, a private suicide hotline was established to help veterans that were suffering, as well as active military that may be concerned about disclosing their mental health challenges. I truly appreciate the efforts and the help of Talbert House in making this possible. I would be remiss if I did not thank my family and friends who have supported me over the years, including my two children, Tony and Stephanie, my daughter-in-law, their spouses, Martha and Dave, my brother Frank. Sorry, guys. I don't want to create an identity crisis for you. And my cousins, Tim and Heather, and my lifelong best friend, Tim and Audrey, all here today to celebrate this achievement with me. I also want to thank my late wife, Maxine. I'd like to thank my veteran friends in the audience and my friends and fellow Lancers at LaSalle High School, who have also supported the veterans in our community in so many ways, and my friends and colleagues in the private and public banking community, including those at First Financial Bank, Fifth Third Bank, PNC Bank, Provident Bank, and the Cincinnati Development Fund, and at the Ohio Housing Finance Agency. And finally, but most importantly, I'd like to give a special acknowledgement to a Gold Star mother present in the audience today and a personal friend of my late wife's. Her name is Pat Murray, and I would like her to stand for a moment, wherever she is. Pat lost her son, David Kruder, in Iraq in August of 2005, ambushed with a car bomb, and was part of the U.S. Marine Corps unit Lima Company. We thank her son and those other heroes that have served our country in such valiant ways, and their Gold Star parents who continue that service in their lifelong memories and commitment to their children. Thank you, Pat. Again, for all those responsible, I thank you for this prestigious honor. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad the bank regulators can't go back 30 years or so and look at what Bob and I hooked up together on some financing with Provident back in the day. Also, Model's been such a great partner, and they partnered on our Veterans Housing Project, Bob, there on the Parkway, and soon we'll be announcing another Veterans Housing Project we're going to be doing, a 4% deal, so we're really excited about that, and I'll tell you about that when I can, but Gwen McFarland, if you'd join me. Where's Gwen at? There she is. The next award is the Agnes Seasongood Award, And Agnes was a former Talbert House board member. And I remember Agnes, believe it or not, back in the 70s coming over to the halfway house that I worked at. And she would come in and with her cane and with her someone driving her in a big car, and she'd come up and talk to me about what it was like being growing up in her era, and how she'd come up to Walnut Hills and spend her summers up at the summer house in Walnut Hills because it was cooler than being downtown. And she was an awesome lady, and when she passed on, she left us a gift, and we decided we wanted to honor good government, and good government is so important to everything we do in our community and in our lives. And so that was established for public service, and past awardees include so many just recognizable people: Bill Mallory Sr., John Dowland, Honorable Tom Nury, Honorable John West, Bill Seitz, Margaret Talbert, Mary Ronan. And so today, to help present this award with me here is Gwen McFarland, who's a former awardee, one of our awardees a few years ago, former board member of 27 years, and chair of the Democratic Party, and many other things. So, Gwen, take it away.
Thank you, Neil. It is my pleasure to be able to stand up here before you. Let me take this thing down. And talk about a very, very good person, good friend of all of ours, and that is retired Judge Nadine Allen. Nadine served as a Hamilton County Court of Common Pleas judge from 2009 to 2016. And she also, before that, served in municipal court from 1987 to 2009. Before that, she worked at the Public Defender's Office, as well as with the league, the league as well. So she's just been all over the place. And when I first met her, she was working as a judge, of course, and I also had the really great opportunity to work in her campaign as well. And as a judge, she spearheaded so many treatment programs in the jailhouse. The most famous thing that I remember is she was the first judge that I ever met that talked about treatment versus incarceration. And not only that, but she continued to look for alternatives that improved the administration of justice by reducing jail overcrowding, promoting safety, as well as saving the taxpayer dollars. She was the first woman appointed to the Ohio Supreme Court Board of Commissioners, and with the grievance and discipline aspect of that. She founded the first Just Solutions Commission, which focused on improving the administration of justice, which includes a television show as well called, what? Just Solutions. Nadine continues to be a champion of social justice, advocating for lasting criminal justice reform. Her dedication and her leadership to our county, to our community as a servant leader has enriched countless lives, and all those like me who felt so honored and lucky to know her. And she calls herself being in retirement, but she continues to passionately work to ensure all voters around the county and the surrounding area understand their rights to vote, and also continued that mission when she continued her connection with Talbert House and working with the Talbert House residents, families regarding registration to vote. So I am just so honored to present to Nadine Allen the Agnes Seasongood Good Government Award to Nadine Allen. Now, she's already tipped up here behind me. You see how fast she is? So, Nadine, I'm so honored.
Thank you, Gwen. Well, I was told that they want us to be sincere, be brief, and be seated. And so I'm so glad that Gwen gave you all the preliminary statements. But I'm very grateful for this award and for my family who are here today, my friends are here today. My judicial colleagues are here today. My pastor's here today. And my son David is here today. And all of you who are staff for the Talbert House. But you know, Neil, as the president and CEO, do you know that you have rescued, saved, and restored umpteen thousands of our citizens to sobriety? I know that I probably referred a minimum of 30,000 people to Talbert House services during my 30 years on the bench. That's just 1,000 people a year. But you know, all of us judges will tell you, most people coming before the court have some kind of problem. Alcohol, drugs, smoking, you name it. I would say, what is your problem? Because we can fix it. We got the Talbert House. So that's why I'm impressed with what the Talbert House does and why I'm very honored by this award. And you know, I know something else. I know that all of us here today know someone, could be ourselves, who is needing treatment now, needed it in the past, and will be needing it in the future. Am I right? Can I get a witness? Yes. And you know, but there is someone here today who is very near and dear to my heart, who got treatment, who got sober, and corralled all of her recovering friends to open up a tapless bar in the midst of the Columbus hood, full of addicts, crackheads, and druggies, because this mostly urban populace desperately needed to get help right now and to find a sponsor for sobriety. And so it provides that necessary social component of being high, which is talking, being in a bar, playing darts and cards, and it provides all that. But it also, most importantly, provides tables and chairs for meetings, for sobriety meetings. And it's still open today. And it is aptly called Just for Today. And the person I'm talking about is my beloved sister, Linda, who is here today. And so she said, please don't make me stand up, because unlike me, she is very private and shy, but she's at table 10. And she kind of looks like me. So I want to thank you all for acknowledging the work that the Talbert House does. I want to thank the staff at the Talbert House, because you work tirelessly to make our community a safe, sober, and wonderful place to live. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Judge. And Gwen, of course. Next, we have our Community Service Award. And Robbie, you're out there someplace. Maybe you'll step up to help me here. Here she comes. The Community Service Award is recognized an individual organization who's gone above and beyond. There's so many of you in this room who go above and beyond every day, but providing valuable leadership and service to our community. Past recipients include Karen Bankston, Oscar Robertson, John Young, Senator Richard Finan, Odell Owens, Peg Myrtle, Mitch Livingston, and many others. And we couldn't have a better recipient this year than Kathy Schwab. And here to help me present that award today is Robbie Suggs, who's now the Chief Lending Officer at Cincinnati Development Fund. Robbie, thank you for being here.
So sorry it took me a minute to get to the podium. You know, it takes a village, and I had to be dressed properly before I took the stage. So thank you all. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, this is not the first time I've had the absolute pleasure to present Kathy as an award recipient. So since this keeps happening, I'll just be seeing you all at different places so that we can give her additional awards. Kathy is a real estate development veteran who is retired executive director of LISC, which is Local Initiatives Support Corporation. It's a national community development nonprofit. While at list, Kathy raised awareness of the lack of affordable housing in Hamilton County through her work on a study for housing, the housing affordability in 2017, and the Housing Our Future strategy of 2020. She continues to focus her efforts to funding the gap for affordable housing through her board involvement in Cincinnati Development Fund, Seven Hills Neighborhood Houses, the Real Estate Accelerator Lab, which is real, Over the Rhine Community Housing, ULI, Cincinnati Advisory Board, and Housing Our Future Committee. This is what retirement looks like for Kathy. She is a devoted wife, mother, and grandmother, and friend and mentor to many. Please join me in presenting the Community Service Award to Kathy Schwab.
To stand in front of all these people after 18 months, it's like a lot of my peeps. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. I want to congratulate my good friend Bob Alexander and the Honorable Nadine Allen for their awards. It's great to stand up here with the two of you. And Neil, Stephanie, the staff of the Talbert House, and the board. This is a really great honor. I feel very touched, especially over the last 18 months, to get a call from Neil. I haven't talked to him in 18 months. I may have seen you on a Zoom now and then, but to get a call and say, we'd like to give you this award, and I just cried because it just meant a lot to me, and the last 18 months were so difficult. I was talking to Bobby Malley earlier, and he said, well, I'm an introvert, and it was hard on me. Well, I'm an extrovert, and not being around my peeps, all of you, and community just really hit hard. And I'm sure it hit a lot of you that how important community is and the impact it is, and when you don't have that, and how devastating that can be, both individually and so I've had two passions or focuses in my life and my long career, and I think this goes back when I left home, and that's real estate work and community work. And I have been so fortunate that over my career, both of those have intersected. I don't know if that was by design or kind of by accident, because they were both passions of mine. But you know, that passion of those two intersections has really taught me that the most important thing is, the most fundamental thing is that every person deserves a decent, safe, affordable place to live. And I believe that in the core of my being. Thank you. It's the most important work I think I've done. I've worked in a lot of community work in my life. As I said, it intersected, but while at LISC, I got to work in so many communities, and I think the most rewarding part of my life was working at LISC, just being able to raise the awareness that this is such an important issue. You all know in your work, I mean, housing is foundational, and without housing, decent, safe, affordable housing, we can't do anything else. I mean, it affects education, it affects health. So we all have to fight that fight, and I am so honored that the Talbert House and working with them over the years, the work they do in this area is so important. And Neil, I wish I knew how many people you housed. I wish I had asked you that number ahead of time, but how many people that you've housed, that you've helped stay in your house and continue to do so is so important. So thank you all for the work you've done, because this is one of my passions in life, and I'm going to continue to fight the good fight, and I want all of you to do the same thing. Thank you.
Three great honorees who help change the community every single day for many, many years, and all the great work they've done. Let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and congratulations again to all the awardees. I also want to give a special recognition to our fearless leader, Neil Tillo. Let's give it up for Neil. On behalf of all the Talbert House staff, we ask Neil not to come back to the office today. Please do not do that. My name is Josh Arnold, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Talbert House, and I'm honored to close out the luncheon today by introducing you to someone who will remind all of us why we are here today and we all do what we do. While we can't share every client success story, and as you know, we always have to finish on time, we are honored to have Pam, not only a successful graduate of our services, but now a highly successful Talbert House staff member, share her story. Please join me in welcoming Pam. Pam?
Imagine growing up in a household of 10. Mother, father. Mother was an evangelist, a Pentecostal preacher. Dad was a provider. 8 children, Tanya, Diane, Bobby, Robbie, Dwayne, Craig, Pamela, myself, and Lawrence. And so what I realized today is I started having those addictive behaviors as a child. I was the 7 out of 8. And I experienced a lot of isolation, insecurities. I was very isolated a lot within a home and from friends and family. I just wasn't a secure young lady. And so as I grew older, my behaviors continued to grow. Met up with some old friends, of course, went on into life, thinking that I was missing out on some things. I had a very sheltered life. No blame to my parents, they were wonderful. My family, I had a strong foundation, morals, values, structure, and discipline. So my choices were my choices. And so as I continued to grow up, my behaviors became unhealthy. And at the age of 26, I was introduced to a drug, cocaine. And so because those addictive behaviors were already there, that was the last thing that in addiction, came about. And so as I continue to progress in my addiction, I decreased, my addiction increased. And as we all know, addiction is chronic and progressive. And so as I continue, my criminal behaviors also increased. As we know that sometimes that can happen. And so I'm getting older, and I'm still don't have any aspirations, don't have any goals. I'm just stuck in my addiction at this point, right? It's progressive at this moment. I had children along the way. So again, I decreased as a mother, as a daughter, as a friend, and my addiction increased continually. So at this point, I come home. I am a bartender at this time. And I start to cry out, and I said, Lord, please, I need some help. I don't know what to do. And at this time, it becomes ritualistic. The drug no longer works. I'm just caught up in a ritual. And so I continue to pray, and tears are rolling down my eyes. I can remember it like yesterday. And so a few months later, my criminal behaviors caught up with me, of course. I go in front of a wonderful judge, Burke. And she was the head of the ADAPT program. And so she thought that my bartending was the issue, which it was, but it wasn't the core issue, right? It fueled my addiction, of course. But she thought that would work for me if I just quit the job. And of course I couldn't, because why would I give up my finances, right? I'm being supplied. And so this is how I take care of things. And so I did not, and I failed at probation. She ordered me probation. I failed at it, of course. And so I go back in front of her, and Christine Patel talks to the lawyer, and they suggest I go into the DAP program. This is my prayer being answered. And at this point, I'm like, yes. And my convictions are being in lieu of if I complete the program. So I go into ADAPT. They gave me some time to get my affairs in order, and I did that. And so I go on, I show up, and I go to the ADAPT program. And my at this point, I live by analogies. They make sense to me some way. And so my thought was to learn my opponent. There is a Chinese strategist and philosopher credited for writing The Art of War. And he said, when you know your enemy and when you know yourself, the fear of the results of when you know yourself and you know your enemy, you do not fear the results of 100 battles. I get that. So I went into the DAP program, and what it taught me, everything about addiction, exactly what I wanted to know, how it moved, why it moved, when, where, how. And I wanted to know that. I needed to know about this disease that was trying to take me out, that depleted me of everything that I was raised with, that was trying to take my life. And so at the time, ADAPT also taught me about myself, how to defeat, how to manage it, right? We know there's no cure, but we do manage it, right? And so I continued on into the program, and I had surrendered, of course, and I put both feet in, and I ended up graduating from the program. I went on to IOP after the ADAPT program. That's the process. You graduate from the program. And when I went into ADAPT, I had no purpose whatsoever. What is my purpose? What was my purpose? I had none. My other brothers and sisters were, at this time, graduated, successful, and I still had no purpose going into the program. And at that moment, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to come back and help people just like me. I knew instantly, right? That was my purpose. And so I asked, what do I have to do to get back to Talbert House? They said, well, you have to graduate and you have to wait 5 years. It's like, okay. So I graduated, I went on about my life. I came home to my apartment, to my children. And it's not about the years or anything about that, it's about the mileage. So I did everything that was suggested of me, to me. I asked for help along the way. And because of the program, because a young lady said earlier that it does take a village, and because of the village, I will be celebrating 11 years on October 19th, 2021. And today I stand here grateful every day. I follow most of the basic principles of life, right? As much as I can. And so I'm so grateful, my foundation. And so I'm here again at the Talbert House, so I did make it back, of course. I did make it to my goal and my purpose. And my passion today is to be a vessel of hope and a beacon of light to those who continue to struggle. So I don't continue to fight for me, I fight for my peers who are still struggling. I fight for those who didn't make it. I fight for those who didn't have the support or did not see a way out, right? We lose them every day. Every day we lose someone to this addiction and to this disease. And so today, every day I wake up, I thank God for another day and another opportunity to be a vessel of hope and a beacon of light. So if you're ever at home and you wonder if what we are doing, what you are doing, what you're contributing, what you are contributing to society, and if it helps, yes, yes, and yes. I stand here today as one of those. We do recover. Thank you very much.
Now that's someone who can change lives right there. Thank you all for today and all that you do to support the Talbert House mission. There's a lot of Pams, but she is also an original all of her own, and she helps people every day. We thank you for coming today, and have a great weekend.